Okay, let's be honest. Have you ever stood in the meat aisle just completely overwhelmed by all the labels? You are not alone. Today, we're going to cut through all that confusion. We're talking organic, grass-fed, grass-finished, all of it. Let's dive in. Right? You see them everywhere, a whole sea of labels, and they're all promising something better. But what do they actually mean? Well, we've done the digging for you to bring some real clarity so you'll know exactly what you're putting on your plate. So, first things first, why even bother with all this? Why are so many people reaching for these specific products? When you dig into the research, it really boils down to two big things: what it does for your health and the promise of a much better taste. And yeah, health is a huge driver for a lot of folks. But that whole eating experience, it's right up there. We're talking about claims of a richer flavor, a better texture, and way more tenderness. But let's start by taking a closer look at those health benefits. So, what are we actually talking about health-wise? Well, the research points to really high levels of two things: omega-3 fatty acids, which you've probably heard of, and something called conjugated linoleic acid, or just CLA. The idea is that these compounds may help protect against some really serious stuff, like strokes and even cancer. That right there is a pretty compelling reason for a lot of people. All right, this brings us to the real heart of it all. What in the world do these labels actually mean? Let's get into the nitty-gritty so you can finally make sense of what you're seeing on the package. This is the big one, isn't it? The question that trips everyone up. Are organic and grass-fed just two ways of saying the same thing? Let's find out. You know, the easiest way to understand the organic label is to think about what's not in it. For meat to get that organic stamp, the animal can't be given any hormones or antibiotics. Plus, its food has to be grown completely without pesticides. It's all about prohibiting certain chemicals and additives. Putting them side by side like this makes it super clear, right? On one side, you've got that organic standard we just talked about. No synthetic stuff allowed. And on the other, you have a simplified look at conventional farming, where the animal's feed could be grown using pesticides or other chemicals. So let's circle back to that big question. Is organic the same as grass-fed? The answer is a big fat not necessarily. They are absolutely not interchangeable. You see, an animal can be raised organically, no hormones, no antibiotics, but still be fed a diet of organic grains, not grass from a pasture. And this brings up another super important distinction. When you see the label grass-fed, it can sometimes just mean the animal ate grass for most of its life, but was then finished with grain to fatten it up. But 100% grass-finished, that's the one to look for. It's way stricter. It means that animal ate nothing but grass and forage its entire life. Period. Okay, so we've got the labels down, but how does all of that actually translate to quality? I mean, beyond just the definitions, there's this strong argument that these farming methods create a product that's just better. So, just for some quick context, let's talk about the official benchmark. The USDA has a grading system, and Prime is the absolute top-of-the-line grade. It's all based on things like marbling and tenderness. But here's where it gets really interesting. Producers using these organic and grass-fed methods make a pretty bold claim. They argue that the quality of their meat is actually beyond the USDA grade. The thinking is that the official system, which loves that marbling you get from grain, doesn't really capture the unique kind of quality that comes from raising animals on pasture. So we've nailed down the why and the what. Now let's talk about the sheer variety of products that you can find with these labels. And trust me, it goes way, way beyond just beef. I mean, just look at this list. We're talking about an incredible range of options here. You've got pasture-raised bison, elk, and venison, grass-fed lamb and goat, and even things you might not expect like heritage pork, free-range duck, and wild-caught seafood. It's a huge, diverse market out there. And what's really cool is seeing how these different meats line up with some super popular diets. So whether you're doing keto or you're on a Whole30 or even AIP, there are specific products that just fit perfectly. It makes finding what you need so much easier. All right, let's get practical. You've gone out, you bought this amazing premium meat, so how do you make sure you cook it perfectly? Because the way these animals are raised actually changes the meat, and that means you've got to tweak how you cook it. Okay, if you only remember one thing from this whole section, make it this: 100% grass-fed meat is so much leaner. It has way less fat than grain-finished meat, and that one simple fact changes everything about how you need to approach it in the kitchen. So here are 3 golden rules. First, because there's less fat, it's going to cook a lot faster. You have to keep a close eye on it. Second, be ready to adjust your go-to cooking times and temperatures. They can really vary between different cuts. And finally, don't forget the bone. A bone-in cut is always going to cook differently than a boneless one. Before we wrap things up, let's tackle one last question that pops up from time to time. Is there any kind of link between eating organic meat and having skin issues like acne? Well, the answer on this one is pretty straightforward. Right now, there just isn't enough solid research to prove any kind of direct connection. While diet and skin health are definitely linked in general, there's no smoking gun that specifically points to organic meat causing acne. And that pretty much brings us to the end. We've decoded organic, grass-fed, and that all-important grass-finished label. We've looked at all the claims about quality and health. It's pretty clear. These labels point to real, tangible differences in how your food is made. So the final question really is for you. Now that you know all this, what are you going to look for next time you shop?